So yeah, CPU cores, you need to know what CPU core is on your SoC that is in your phone. You get, before you buy, these are also the things that you should be checking as well, because it determines how powerful the SoC on your phone is going to be, and that goes a long way to determining what you can do or cannot do with your smartphone. Yeah, hello and welcome to another video. Right now I want to talk about CPU cores. Now, without wasting any time, let's just get straight into it. Now, I have made several videos about SoCs and about CPU cores and about how SoCs are made, right? You may really want to check this out. I don't know, as the video progresses along, you'll probably see them somewhere up there at the top of the screen, my top left-hand corner, your top right-hand corner, I guess. So yeah, let's move on. Let's get on with the video. Now, SoCs are made of several CPUs. The most important ones being the CPU cores. That's the CPUs that carry the general, like general purpose multi-processing load. It carries the apps, the games, helps the cameras work, like it runs the operating system. Basically, they are the most important CPUs on an SoC. These are what we call the CPU cores, and these are the most important CPUs on an SoC. And there are several types. They are all made by ARM, by the way, which makes like gauging their performance a lot better and a lot easier. So we can just simply get on with it. And I like ARM's naming scheme, which makes everything so much clearer. So we can now proceed from here. Now, the quality or the type of CPU core used on an SoC is what determines its performance. That's a mosquito. I just well, for those who want to know, it's 2 a.m. Yeah, it's 2 a.m. So yeah, it's West Africa, it's mosquitoes. Anyway, as I was saying, the quality of the SoC that is used, sorry, the quality of the CPU core that is used in an SoC is what determines its performance across the board, basically. So if a poor or a weak CPU core is used on an SoC, that SoC's performance is going to be terrible. But if a decent CPU core, if a powerful CPU core is used for an SoC, the performance is going to be great. Now, there's a whole list of this. Don't worry, you see it will appear on the screen. I spent a good amount of time making this flow chart so that it will be easy for you to be able to visualize what I am saying at this point in time. So these CPU cores are important, and ARM made them. So basically, there are certain ways of arranging CPU cores into an SoC, because each CPU core has a task that it's supposed to carry out. So there are two key methods of doing this. The first one is called the Big.Little. The second one is called dynamic. So when it comes to Big.Little, CPU cores are arranged into two groups or two families. The first one called the big cores, the second one called the small cores. Now, the big cores are what handles the heavy tasks, the gaming, the streaming, like video encoding, video processing, and all that. Any task that is heavy, right? It's the big cores. But any other task that is small, just scrolling through your phone, watching a movie, light social media, WhatsApp, Facebook Lite and stuff, it's the small cores. Now, it is made this way because big cores draw a lot of battery power, and smartphone batteries are rather small, so you cannot have the big cores running all the time. So the big cores go to sleep, and then the small cores usually work. When you want to do something big, the small cores go to the background, the big cores kick in. You don't use them for a lot of the time though. So as soon as they're gone, the small cores come back. So the small cores are there to carry out these small tasks in order to keep your battery running, or to extend your battery life, basically, so to speak. So that's what the Big.Little. Dynamic, on the other hand, has three sets of CPUs. You've got the main one, the main core. That's the giant core now. Then you've got the big cores, and then you've got the small cores. The big core, the giant one, it's called the prime core. And the prime core and the big cores work together to tackle apps. The prime core is usually very powerful, and the big cores themselves are also powerful, but they're not as powerful as the prime core. So then you now have the small cores at the back. The prime cores and the big cores work together. The prime cores bring an extra, addition, an extra infusion of even more power that adds a lot more power to the SoC itself. That's why you see prime cores, for example, like I think A78 used to be a prime core once upon a time. They have the X1, X2, and X3 these days. That makes flagship SoCs, compete up there. In fact, they are competing with Apple's Bionics all the way right now. So yeah, I think I spent a lot of time on this one, so let's move on. Let's go further. So when we talk about small cores are usually very weak, and they do not draw a lot of power, basically, because they're not supposed to draw a lot of power, because drawing a lot of power means drawing a lot of battery. So at the bottom of our list, you have ARMv8 generation A53 and A55, and I guess they will be phased out, probably in the next 3-4 years or so. A53, A55, they're very weak. If you see any SoC or SoCs that use these ones as their main CPUs, you know the performance you're going to get from A53 and A55 are going to be trash. You can check this out by simply Googling the name of the SoC on your phone. You can enter the name of your phone, check the name of the SoC, and then Google the name of the SoC itself, and then you'll see the number of CPU cores that are there. You can check on my website if I've done a post on it, or you can check sites like Nano Review, for example, or Notebook Check. I think these guys have like really good detail on these SoCs and these CPU cores. So if you move on from there, you now have the latest A510. The A510s are for the ARMv9 generation. They're supposed to take over from the A53s and the A55s. So the A510s are a lot more powerful than the older A53s and A55s. Then you move on from there, you now have the big cores, for example, A73. There used to be an A72, but nobody uses that anymore. So you've got A73, A75, A76, A77, and A78. Yeah, so these ones are like, A78 used to be a flagship core, a big core, a prime core, but now with the advent of the ARMv9 generation, I think the A78 has been sort of like demoted to a big core. So you have A73, A75, A76, A77, and A78. These ones are the big cores. So the higher you go, the better the performance, which means that an SoC basically with A76 is more likely to be better than one with A73. One with A78 is going to be better than A76, and so on and so forth. So for the prime cores, which you only ever find on flagships, you have the X1, X2, and X3. These ones are very powerful, and you only find them on the top flagships, the highest level on SoCs like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, for example, Dimensity 9200, for example, and what else? Yeah, I think mostly, and so on and so forth. So if anybody is telling you that that an SoC is great, I mean, somebody came and told me one time that the Exynos 850 was like really good. It's Samsung, is this, and then we went to check like this. The CPU cores on that SoC, and what we saw on that thing was A55, 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 and he had to eat humble pie like that, you understand? So there's some SoCs, like for example, I saw the Exynos 1280, and I was like, is this one any good? And then I checked the CPU cores inside, and I'm like, wow, this thing is powerful. You understand that? So yeah, CPU cores, you need to know what CPU core is on your SoC that is in your phone. You get, before you buy, these are also the things that you should be checking as well, because it determines how powerful the SoC on your phone is going to be, and that goes a long way to determining what you can do or cannot do with your smartphone. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. I guess I'll see you in the next one.